Hey, this is Bobby Reel with Sadus and Deconstruct, and you're listening to the Nothing Shocking podcast.
Want to know what's going on in the world of music? Then tune in to the Nothing Shocking podcast, a non-genre based, all ages friendly rock and roll program. Join us weekly for interviews with all your favorite rock stars from the mainstream to the underground. You can find us at nothingshocking.libsyn.com or anywhere you download podcasts.
We're putting the band back together.
The numbers all go to 11.
I'm talking about bands that rock. Led Zeppelin. What about Sabbath? AC/DC. Motorhead.
Does that mean it's louder? Is it any louder?
Well, it's one louder, isn't it?
We're not worthy! We're not worthy!
Why don't you just make 10 louder and make 10 be the top number and make that a little louder?
These go to 11.
I get up off the ground and raise my head. Days like this, think I should be dead. One for Satan, two for me. Let's cheat the devil, it's fun, don't you agree?
Welcome to the Nothing Shocking podcast. I'm your co-host, Jeff Untied, and with me in Dog Bowl Studios is
Coach Nez.
You can find the Nothing Shocking podcast on Libsyn or any podcatchers. Like our Facebook page or follow us on X at No Shock Pod.
You can also find the Nothing Shocking podcast on Rock Rage Radio every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. Central Time. Our sponsor is Ragged Records, located in downtown Rock Island, Illinois, and downtown Davenport, Iowa. We'd like to thank the Hong Kong Sleepover for allowing us to use their music for our intro and bumper ending. Tonight's guest is
Bobby Reel of Sadus
and Deconstruct. It's giving us a rundown of the ins and outs of the new music that Deconstruct's got going on in the studio right now. What else?
Talk about the metal scene out in California and a little bit about Wanderlust Ink Company, his tattoo business.
Yeah, great interview. Give it a listen.
All right, good night.
Good night. Bobby, welcome to the Nothing Shocking podcast. I'd like to introduce you, my co-host, Jeff Untied.
Bobby, thanks for joining us tonight.
Jeff, thanks for having me, guys.
Well, hey, man, first of all, thanks for all the correspondence. We really appreciate it. You're very accessible. This has been, we've been waiting for this to happen, so we're really excited to have you. So let's just get right into this. Before we get into your career of sorts, you had a bad bout with various illnesses this past winter. How are you doing now? And can you give us, our listeners, an insight to what you've been dealing with or what you dealt with?
Sure, absolutely. I almost thought it was like some cruel joke. It was been played on me. So I'll start with the first. We got off the plane in Munich in November, and we got hit right with the tour flu. Bang! I mean, literally right out the doors. Just a donkey punched me, and so I spent most of that tour just on the bus taking cold meds and staying hydrated. Well, just in true fashion, I get home in December, just before Christmas, and I was better again. And enjoyed about a month of that until I got hit with whatever the crud was that was going on in the U.S. Mm-hmm. And that took me until about the 1st of February. And as luck would have it, I'm back in the studio tattooing, and I've got a good friend in the chair, thank goodness. And I know this is detail, but it's an important detail that I felt myself needing to sneeze, and I've got gloves on, and I'm got a machine in my hand. So what do? I turn my head, and I try to sneeze, but hold my sneeze in, which is a huge mistake. Mm-hmm. And I popped 2 ribs out on my right side. Like the pressure of all of that was so much that it pushed 2 ribs out, made contact with my right shoulder blade, and didn't sleep all night. Just was horrible pain. The next day I go to get looked at by my chiropractor. He takes x-rays and shows me that isn't good. And we noticed a little halo of something under my arm. Well, lo and behold, I have shingles. The traumatic event from the ribs popping out caused my body to bring back. If you know anything about shingles, man, it is no joke.
Right.
I just wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. So 2.5 months, it just hung on to me like nobody's business, and it just knocked me out of the game for a while. So I've been about 2 weeks out of the about 3 weeks out now, feeling better and doing much better now. I'm hoping that I got it all out of my system so I can have a good rest of the year, honestly.
Well, hearing that, I'm glad I got my shingle shot this past year, both of them.
Dude, no doubt.
And the thing about it is we just came back from Mexico for my daughter's wedding. That being said, as soon as I got back, I got my second vaccination of the shingle shot, and that shingle shot will knock you out for a weekend, but it's better than getting shingles,
Dude, that's what I hear. I hear it's brutal, but not as brutal as shingles. So good. I'm glad you got it, man. Because I feel horrible for anybody. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, I know what that's all about, and I'm just myself getting it. You can probably hear it in my voice, trying to get over being sick myself, and with my asthma, it just kicks me right in the lungs. And it doesn't let go.
Yeah. And now you got the blooms and everything going on. We're starting to get into spring and summer, so I'm sure that doesn't help your asthma either.
Right.
We have the joy of living in the Mississippi River Valley. We're right next door to the Mississippi River, and everything around here is just heavy.
Yeah.
It just never goes away.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Indeed. Glad you're on the mend, Jeff.
All right, you too.
Let's get right into this now. Enough about the sickness.
Yeah.
At the moment,
I know, right?
at the moment, you're playing bass for Deconstruct. Talk a bit more about the entrance into the band, and what are the writing and recording methods in the studio with Deconstruct opposed to any other projects you've been involved with?
Ooh, that's a really good question. It's weird because, and I'll tie this in with the Sadus thing towards the end of our interview, but it really is a very parallel universe. So I was asked to join Deconstruct roughly 5 years ago. I'm going to say almost 6 years ago in July, and they had the former bass player from Testament playing with them, and not Steve DiGiorgio is now, but they were just looking to change the lineup. There were some issues with touring and things like that he just couldn't do, and so I got invited in and spent a month kind of going through the songs with Joe Frolub, formerly of Danzig. He's this is his project from many years back, and it just fell right in love with the project, fell in love with the guys. Joe and I, he's an interesting guy. He at first you think he's just this ogre of a guy, but once you peel back the layers of the onion, he's a super good guy and very highly intelligent. And how the recording process goes ties right into Joe as well, because he is in our area, we call it the Pus Caverns. That is an iconic recording studio through the 90s and early 2000s that recorded like all the big guys, Tesla, Cake, all the bands that were Deftones. They were all coming right out of the Sacramento Valley there, and he was the engineer that started that. So flash forward to, working with him now in this project, he's got a $500,000 home studio, just state-of-the-art facility that we have the luxury of just going anytime we have ideas. We just go to his studio and we can lay down tracks and start to craft that stuff, at least for pre-production.
Oh, very good.
Yeah. So you guys are working on an EP now. Can you talk a little bit about, maybe your approach to the band songwriting?
Absolutely. Yeah. This is kind of a fun thing too. And I know Joe won't mind me saying this, but I think inherently, and I'm one of these characters too, is that we hold on to things very tightly. And of course, this project is Joe's. It's been his baby since the early 90s. So the songwriting really hadn't come to fruition with him and I working together until just recently, because we put out an album. He put out an album, Ashen Empire. I was hired on to support playing, and go out and putting that out to the masses. And then we hadn't recorded anything because there were new members. We introduced a new singer, Ash Hades, to the band. and just trying to get my wings with them. And then here we are 5 years later, actually starting it on this EP. And I know Joe holds this really close to his chest, but now him and I have, now that we've got that past that awkward moment of like, you know, how do you write? What's your style? And how can we complement each other's styles? It just is like a hand in a glove. There's just that energy where him and I will get together. A voice recorder, as barbaric as this sounds, right on my phone, that I will hum or chug into my voice recorder driving, you know, whenever ideas pop up. And then he'll do the same, and we get together once or twice a week and just lay that stuff down in some rough tracks in the studio there. And we just start to put it together like a puzzle, you know, what pieces fit, what don't, how are your styles and the way that you write, how do we complement each other there? And I think we figured that out, and I'm really excited for this EP.
Very good.
Yeah. On Facebook, there's a really cool picture of you with your bass, rig like in a live setting. Can you talk a little bit about, performing with the band?
Yeah, you know, that's the thing that really kind of, I drew, it was an instant draw for me because I do act, and I've been into, and the whole idea of the theatrics that Joe, when I went to him, I'm like, what is this band? And he says, it's post-apocalyptic metal. I'm like, what does that mean? You know, like, share with me your vision. And when he kind of laid it out for me, I said, you know, that's pretty original. I don't think there's many other people doing that, or if at all anybody. And so what we do is we really put a hell of a lot of time into behind the scenes wardrobe. I hand make the majority of our clothes, leather work and all of that, with some help of some heavy and leather seamstress. And then we've got stage, our stage design. It's a whole theater. You know, it's like we set up this show. And I'm going to use like Mindcrime, the idea of like it starts you from the beginning and it takes you on a ride. And we have a whole movie that goes along with it, step by step. And so when you see the pictures you're probably seeing, it's just, you know, we're in that moment. We're just so encapsulated into the ride that we're trying to take you on. That's it. We just want to give people everything, you know. I think it all started with Kiss, right? You know, we look back to those guys, and when you saw them up there, they just seemed so much bigger than life, and they seem like these monolithic, you know, superheroes. And I think for us to maybe emulate that in our own fashion through post-apocalyptic metal has really given us an outlet to you know, have the theatrics of what we do meld with the music that we create.
Well, you know, talk a little bit more about, you know, performing the live performance, I guess I'm trying to say, in a conceptual way, in the story of the song. Is the music of Deconstruct, is the writings in a conceptual way? Is it more of a storytelling from song to song?
Absolutely. You know, it's kind of crazy too, because Ashen Empire, if you go through any of the lyric content, which it's available on all major streaming platforms, that album was written in 2018, and it foretold. It's almost creepy when you read the lyrics, because it talks about, you know, we went through the pandemic. All of us suffered horribly through that. But there was almost like Joe looked in a crystal ball and like looked at the future and said, here's what my songs are going to be. But they really do. There are songs that are crafted around the idea of how mankind is we're kind of eating ourselves alive from the inside out, that we're, you know, the great consumers, and that if we stay on this trajectory, you know, we're going to burn up all of our, we're going to burn up this planet and not have anything left to show for it. And though a lot of those lyrics really speak out in Ashen Empire.
Oh, very good.
So yes, we do talk about those things.
Well, you know, when it comes to Deconstruct, you know, the touring, summer touring is coming up. You know, what is the methodology with the band? Is it the traditional touring, or is it, you know, festivals or one-off shows? What's it going to be like this summer for, you know, I guess for your fans to know?
It's a great question. You know, honestly, Deconstruct has chose to take this summer off. We were talking about doing the EP, and this actually became an album because we have so much content. So we all kind of looked at each other and said, what do we do? Do we push out 3 or 4 really good songs, and then we jump on festivals and we do a U.S. tour? Or do we put our heads down and we woodshed and we knock something? We just make a monolithic album, and we come out next spring with new material, a bunch of it, and it gives us also a time to work on our stage show and the theatrics of that as well, kind of giving people a new version of what they've seen in the past. So that's what we're going to do. This year is a year down. We're going to woodshed in the studio and create amazing music, and then look for us to come back out, spring of 26.
Fantastic.
Yeah. One of the things we've learned over the years talking in this genre of music, the fans, they can be very loyal. What are the fans' reaction to the band Deconstruct and interaction with the band?
Oh, the fans love it, because that's the thing that we hear the most, and it makes me feel so good because the amount of work that goes on behind the scenes. I don't think a lot of people even realize that everything from the timing, the lighting programming, to the video programming, to the stage, all of the stage stuff. I mean, we've got chain link fence with barbed wire in a whole blown out city painted behind them, and ego boxes that are made out of, all of this is like, reclaimed material and metal and all that. When you look at the stage, you're like looking into a post-apocalyptic city, and the people you just see their eyes are just so big, and that makes me feel like we're doing our job right, and we're giving people their money's worth, and it's a good reaction, to answer your question.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, rock and roll fandom and metal fandom can be very, I guess, they're very true to what they like, and they don't separate from what they don't like. They won't give things a chance. And it was almost like rock and roll is a very snobbish thing. It's like we have this rock and roll snobbery. You can like this, but you can't like that. And for a band like Deconstruct, who's got a very loyal following, where they'll love Deconstruct, but they'll give the middle finger to the band that's opening up for them or whatever. What are your thoughts on that whole rock and roll snob thing, where you can like one band but you can't like the other band because you feel like you're being unloyal to one and not the other? It's just a weird era with rock and roll fans.
I agree with that. It's funny that you bring that up, because it's something that's been kind of unspoken, but we all notice it. But I will say this, and I want to give our fans credit. In no time, I'll say this: our fans show up early so that they get to see those opening bands and make them feel good because there's a crowd there. And then I've never heard any of them slight, let's hurry up and get to Deconstruct, or I've never heard that. I feel like the scene, and maybe it's just in our own little bubble there in Sacramento Valley, that I feel like the people are just so into the music scene that they're willing, they just like all of it. And I think that the bands that we choose to play with try really hard, and they give it their best. And so I would say that I'd say our fans don't act in that capacity. They really do. They really do give everybody a chance, and they're loyal, and they hands in the air and making them feel like they're, that they're doing a good job. So yeah, I haven't sensed too much of that with us. However, on the outside of things, when you go over to Europe and there's, you got 64,000 people staring at a band that they're just waiting to finish on the stage so they can see their band. I have felt that, and that's awkward and uncomfortable. And I almost want to, grab the mic and go, listen, give them a chance, stop, maybe it'll be your new favorite band, as opposed to just waiting for whoever it is that's going to come up. So yeah, I have got that.
Well, it's refreshing to hear that you go to a Deconstruct show and the fans are true to the other artists that are supporting you.
They truly are. They truly are. And you know what? Until you asked that, I didn't even consider it. It just didn't come to mind. But it really is. It is that way. So hats off to them.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess that kind of leads into the next one of up and coming bands and bands that you're playing with or working with. You were working with a band, Parabellum. Can you talk a little bit about them?
Oh, these guys are, man, absolutely. I'm just, I'm excited. These are kids. I mean, we're talking 16 years old. The drummer is 16 years old, and they're 16 to 21. I think the oldest guy is the bass player. He just came in as a replacement for their old bass player. But these kids are just knocking it out of the park. I think, when you show up to their show, they're packed. They got all the kids in there wearing their T-shirt, and they got the pit moving, and they are taking it back to the roots of where I came from. Sepultura, Metallica, Testament, Death Angel. They're not taking old riffs and making them new, writing in that same vein of that thrash metal that that people in my age demographic came up these, and that, listening to like Beneath the Remains and Arise, from Sepultura, and I hear in their music stylings, and it just, to think that these kids are so, 30 plus years younger than me, but they're staying true to our metal roots, just gives me it makes me smile inside. And they're doing it so right. They just, Beyond a Pale Horse, they came out with a new album that just dropped in March, and you got to give it a listen. I think you'd be blown away. It's hard to believe that these kids can write something so mature. And you go to their shows, and the crowd is on fire. So I'm really proud of them. And we can't say enough good things about the guys in Parabellum.
As far as your involvement goes with Parabellum, can you give our listeners an insight of the details of what you've been involved with as far as the band goes, as far as recording? Have you helped them out? Yeah, anything like that?
Yeah, it's been. I want to say this. As a fan, I have done my best to just try to be there and to bring people that haven't heard of them. But on the inside track, I'm taking my contacts and the people that I have met and the bands that I've worked with over the past 30 years, and I am doing my best to make those connections, because I really feel like these kids, they just need that little tiny push. And you get them out there with a band like Exodus or Obituary, or and they're just gonna catapult. Their career is just gonna launch into outer space. And so that's what I've done. I've taken the things, all of the tools and the people that I have met, recording engineers, marketing people, all of that, and I've just plugged it into their management team, into those guys, and said, look, here are opportunities for you to take and to move you past the local scene, because I feel like that's where they're at right now. They're ready to do this. They're sharp musicians. They play and practice every day. And so it's like a coach. I guess I would be like a glorified cheerleader, but come and talk with them. And if I feel like something that they're writing maybe sounds kind of like a ripoff, I don't mind saying that. I'll say, hey, come on, that clearly was on Kill 'Em All. Let's not, let's cut that riff out of there, But, hey, and I just, to the other side of that coin is I know us as artists, it's difficult not to do the same, because those are our roots as well. And sometimes, hey, look at this riff I came up with. Dude, that was on Chaos AD. It's the exact same. Oh, okay, sorry. So it's really just that. It's trying to keep them sharp, keep them pumped up, keep them plugged in to the scene that we're already in, and to try to elevate them with any of the tools and the contacts that we have in the industry.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, that's really cool, and it's exciting to see, because, like you said, to see that there are still bands up and coming. That's awesome.
It's exciting, yeah.
Can you take us back to '91? You came from Alaska to California to the Bay Area. Can you talk a little bit about your journey to getting to California?
Oh my God, yeah. It was crazy, It really, the idea to even come here came by a way of just wanting to inject, I'll say, ourselves, because I did move here with two other of my childhood friends, Jeremy Feely and Steve Lomax. And we came down as a band. It was a silly-ass name, but we're like, let's move to the Bay Area. This is where, like, all of them are doing it. It's Death Angels there and Testament's there. And these are the CDs, and at that point tapes, that we were listening to religiously and learning those songs and playing cover tunes up in Alaska. But the thing is with Alaska is there's only so many clubs. Yeah. And so what we were doing, because there weren't places for us to play our music, is we were renting like National Guard armories and all that, but that got old quick. And so we just made a decision to move. And in the winter of '91, we moved, all of us moved to, after realizing how expensive it was to live in San Francisco, we chose to live in Sacramento, where our guitar player's uncle owned a business, and he put us right to work. within 6 months, those guys have both got girlfriends. They're on their way to being married. And I'm kind of like, hey, why'd we move here if you guys didn't want to do this? And to their credit, they're still with the ladies that they met back then, and I love them all. And but I just continue to carry that torch even until today. So I moved here, jumped into a punk band that very next summer called Disorder, and played with some, met some of the scene, and that really just kind of launched me into meeting everybody in the metal scene at that point. Lo and behold, I'll talk back to Deconstruct. Joe and I were playing in bands at shows together, but never ever met each other until years and years later, which is kind of funny. You'd think you'd know each other by then, but we didn't. So that was it. I just, am I answering your question?
Oh, yeah.
You did great. Well, some of our listeners might not realize your other career as owner and operator of Wanderlust Ink Company. You've been in the tattoo business for over 20 years. Talk to us a bit more about balancing the entrepreneurship of owning your own tattoo studio and that of being a recording artist.
Man, honestly, those two jobs, and I feel when I say this, I know it sounds such a cliche thing to say these days, but it's a blessing because one shakes the other's hand. The freedom of being able to own and operate a private studio. I work with my coworkers, Benji and Andre. These guys are solid artists. And we don't have an open sign. We don't have any set hours. We just all come and go as we please and take care of our clients. And I can literally craft my calendar to work around doing music, which is my first passion. So it's actually easier than it sounds. I think, once you're on autopilot with the bills and all of that, then the rest of it is just fun. You hang out in an air-conditioned building, listen to music all day, and paint pretty pictures on people. And then at night, you load your gear into the car and you head up to the practice studio or to the recording studio and you make music. And then when you need to get out on tour, I tell the guys, hey, I'm going to be gone for a month, and no problem, we'll see you when you get back, kind of thing. So they really are. One does definitely support the other, and I'm super grateful to be in this industry. That it truly is a blessing to have that, so that I can go out and have fun and make music and travel the world.
Oh, very good.
Yeah. What are some of your favorite styles to do? Do you do an original or what do you like?
Yeah, that's a great question. In the beginning, I had worked with my video, Cartel Ink Works. I had all of these really high-end Americana guys. They call it American traditional. Yeah. And so I thought, well, I'm going to be the realism guy. I want to do realism or surrealism, and that's really what I put my head down and done. What really drew me to this was honestly Japanese tattoo art. I spent a summer there in '89 as a longshoreman. I'm a commercial fisherman and crabber by trade in Alaska, and I got the rare opportunity to spend 3 months there. And seeing the art and the culture and all of that, it sucked me in. And that's where the idea of tattooing kind of came about for me. I was already getting tattooed at that point. I had a few when I went. And after that, I go, this is a career path I would very much like to do. And as luck would have it, 10 years after finding my way to California, I found an apprenticeship to do it the right way and just never looked back.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, you're an avid motorcyclist. Yeah. It's a serious passion of yours. Oh
my God!
Well, you say for the past 40 years, I guess. Talk a little bit about your passion for motorcycles, bikes. Are you a Harley guy, or are you a dirt bike guy? What are you as far as when it comes to motorcycles?
Man, I'm a two-wheel guy. Mm-hmm. I know that sounds kind of blanket, but I do own a Harley. I got a 2021 Road Glide Special. Got it all beefed up, but I think as long as I'm out on two wheels, that it's just a super fun time. I'm not like, one of these diehard guys like, Indian Suck or BMW. No, I just got lucky enough to have a really nice Harley Davidson, and it is the glue. It's the magic. I'll say that to people when I go out. We happen to live in one of the most beautiful riding spots, in my opinion, in in the U.S., Northern California, where in 30 minutes you can be up in the Sierra Nevadas and up on the twisties and just, getting a handful of throttle and listening to music on your bike and just letting all the cobwebs blow out of your mind, all that stuff that just the noise of the day, guy cutting you off in traffic, whatever. Within 30 minutes, you forget about all that BS and you're just in this heaven. And it's always been like, I call it an active meditation. When you're out, even if you're riding with 20 people, the idea is you're still riding your own ride.
Yeah.
And I had the pleasure of meeting an amazing riding instructor after all these years. This is a little behind the scenes, but I've been riding all these years with no license. I never even bothered to get my motorcycle's license. I just was like, F it, if I'll just pay the ticket. But
yeah.
I went and got a riding course over at Harley Davidson from the amazing Chris Lang, and we became just instant buddies. And now each Monday we get up 6, 7 in the morning and go do a dawn patrol, is what we call it. We're up into the mountains before the sun really gets cooking us, and just out there enjoying life and smelling the redwoods and just getting out of the city and clearing our heads.
Fantastic.
Yeah. I've always been
can't get enough of it.
I've always been a motorcycle enthusiast too. I had bikes when I was younger. When I was a kid, I had dirt bikes and various different things. My brother's pretty heavily involved in motorcycling out on the East Coast, and he sent me a video about his club that he's in, and he was talking about the Marlon Brando movie The Outlaw, and so I started watching that the other day on YouTube, and man, what a cool guy. I mean I already know that Marlon Brando has this aura of like just coolness, kind of like James Dean and that kind of stuff. I mean, the guy just walks across the screen and just drips cool, but man, the guys in his club, in this movie, The Outlaw, they're just a bunch of goofballs, and I know it's probably just trying to be funny for the movie, but have you seen that movie?
Yo, absolutely. But let me tie those two things together and say that the majority of the people that we ride with are just like that. They're fun-loving. They're just total wacky, fly by the seat of their pants, no F's given. Let's just go out and be silly and have fun. And every time we get the chance to stop at for a gas break or a smoke break, the shenanigans ensue. And so I would say that things haven't changed in all those years, and that Brando movie is iconic.
Yeah.
But there's always one of those guys, a Brando in the bunch, and
yeah, very cool.
I tend to be one of the sillier ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't mind admitting that.
Well, let's bring this conversation to Sadus. You've been a member of the band for a while now. What is what's going on with the band? Haven't heard a lot lately. What can you give our listeners about Sadus at the moment?
I think the best way to approach this is this, and I have to be really, I don't want to be a fun police right now, but I have to say that I'm bound to an NDA to talk about the legal process that we're in right now. Some things, a very ugly thing happened in December, and a person chose to throw a grenade into our camp, and that's about the most I can say. And when all of this gets resolved, I would be happy to come back and explain it all if I was given the opportunity to talk with you guys again. However, again, because I'm bound to this NDA, I have to kind of reserve the exacts of what's going on right now. What I will say is that Darren Travis wrote an amazing album, The Shadow Inside, and this album is just, it's a beast. And when we got to go out and test market it this last year, we did 4 festivals in 5 days in August of last year. The crowd response was just magnetic. And then, we went back out on the road we were lucky enough to be invited out with the boys in Obituary, who were longtime Sadus family friends. Over 35 years, those guys have been touring together. And just, again, the response was huge. And we're just looking forward to getting back to that. So I encourage you guys to check it out. The Shadow Inside, amazing album. It's again available on all major platforms. But that's really where we're at right now. We're on pause until all the legal stuff gets worked out, and then as soon as that's done, we're right back to it. So we're hoping that doesn't take too long, and just kind of keeping our chops up with each other in the meantime. Darren and I have met up a few times, and Claudius Creamer is the reason why I've been that I was even introduced to the Sadus, the Say Dudes as they call it, and really grateful for him inviting me into that opportunity. He is now out with Violence and just crushing it out there with Sean Killian and the crew, and Ira Black, of course, and and then he's right back out on the road with Possessed. In June, I believe, they're hitting South America. So that's really kind of it. Sadus is on hold right now until the legal things can get worked out. And as soon as that's done, we're back to lighting the fire.
Yeah, exciting. Very good.
Well, I think we just Record Store Day recently. In your area in Sacramento, do you got any good shops that you like to frequent?
Oh, man. That's kind of honestly, we kind of got to go to the Bay Area for that stuff. I don't mean to be down, but I mean, the record stores like that, like true record stores, the one you're going to go in and find those, so many things have gone to the internet-based businesses these days.
Yep.
That those places have kind of dried up, at least in our area. But you can come down here to the Bay Area and hit Armadillo Music and in places like that, and just it's a gold mine of vinyl and now even cassettes. So you guys hear about cassettes coming back?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we've seen it.
How crazy, right?
Absolutely. Well, I got to tell you, I've become that person. I can't go to Record Store Day anymore. I can't go to record conventions or anything. There's so many people. You can't look at anything, and anything that you're trying to find, they don't have. I've just become that. I've become that internet shopper. I admit it. I can't do it anymore.
I mean, no, trust me. I get it. I get that that's awesome, but that being that guy, I know that you get that idea of being able to put your hands on it, flip through. It's almost like you're kind of doing a treasure hunt. Yeah. You go into this place and you drink your coffee, you get all cracked out a little bit before you go in there, and you spend the next hour or more just kind of flipping through vinyl, trying to find those rare, and then you'll find stuff that you maybe didn't even think you were looking for, and bam, oh my God, B-side, what? So I respect that, though. I think the internet has opened it up where guys like yourself can find those rarities without having to travel too far.
Absolutely. Yeah. So
it's badass.
Here's a question, and I guess this is a two-sided question for you as the artist opposed to you as the music fan when it comes to EPs and LPs. The EP for is that 5 songs of just songwriting, strong songs, and opposed to the LP where you have the deep cut. You don't get the deep cut on EPs. For you, the fan, and I guess you as the artist that you are, what is your preference when it comes to the LP versus the EP versus the LP type thing?
That's a good question. I think there's a couple of parts to that answer. I'd say first off, if you look at the majority of bands these days, I think the trend is we're doing singles. I see a lot of that. There's not a lot of bands putting out LPs. They'll do an EP or drop a couple of singles every few months and keep the machine running that way. Myself, I think when you look at the recording process and what it takes to put out an LP, we don't just write 10 songs and then those are it. You write 20 or 30 songs, and then you dwindle it down to 10 or 11 songs that are just all bangers. And like you said, deep cuts, those are cool too. We'll throw like a dark ballad or something on, which we've been kind of kicking around the idea on this new Deconstruct EP. But now that we've switched gears and gone to the LP ideas, because we've just had this catalog, this robust selection of all of these new songs to put out. We've got 20 or 30 good songs that we're going to be able to pull 10 or 11 from and give people just a banging LP. So we chose to go that direction. Me as an artist, I like not as an artist, as a fan of music. I actually like to get an LP. I want to put it on and I want to listen to it with my headphones. or, in a really nice record player and like listen to it one or two passes through instantly and be able to kind of feel or put myself in the mindset of where the musicians were writing this. That's, I don't know, I enjoy music to that level. I think that an EP kind of leaves you wanting more, but an LP almost leaves you a little, like the artist, a little vulnerable to say, have you taken the time to craft these songs, or do we get 2-3 bangers and then the rest of the album's kind of like, oh, it's okay. I mean, I know we've all felt, come on, let's be honest. I'm not naming bands that have done that, ironically enough, and I don't feel like, I don't know. I don't think that's cool.
I agree.
Well, you alluded to acting. Can you talk? Tell us a little bit more about acting.
As luck would have it, I would say that the tattoo business, you meet a lot of really great people, and I was fortunate enough to meet a local filmmaker, Josh Pearson, who put out he wrote. In the time that I was tattooing him, I was doing all these horror tattoos on him. So much fun. Freddy Krueger and Jason and, just like these really dark tattoos. We had all this time to sit and talk. And, he keeps telling me about this movie that he's writing. And then lo and behold, he says, we start, filming in about a month. And by the way, I wrote you a role. And I was like, excuse me? Like, I'm not an actor. He goes, no, you are. He goes, you don't even know it. He was seeing me as a musician. He's also an acclaimed, photographer, and I guess just seeing me play in the band and then like talking with me when we're tattooing, he felt like there was a character there, and I was flattered. And so, that's available on it's available on Prime right now. You can go out and get it. It's Where Sleeping Dogs Lie. It's it's an indie movie with some really strong up and coming actors, and then me. So I play a collector for the mafia. Basically a guy that's borrowed money from my boss, and I go and I give him the warning that you got to pay up, or you're going to get the wrong visit from me. And it was a whole lot of fun. It was a big learning experience, and between then and now, I've had a couple of little cameos in some other short films as well, which is kind of fun, and I'm ready to do it again. I think that it just kind of plays into the whole, like, even the theatrics of what we do at Deconstruct.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, so cool.
Yeah, that's neat.
All right, I got one last question for you, then we'll leave you alone for the evening. So let's just kind of go off the beaten path here as far as fandom goes. We'll make it a round table. I'll answer this. You're going to go first, then Jeff. Last show you attended as a fan. What show did you attend?
Ooh, Obituary, just on Sunday.
Nice.
Oh my God, just amazing. I mean, of course we were out on the road with those guys, but when you're not playing the show and you just get to come and be a fan, oh my God, do they just deliver? I mean, it just, hair's standing up on my arm. Donald Tardy up there just crushing the drums, and they're just this well-oiled machine. It's a great example of what to strive to as a working band. Frank, Terry, John, Travis, these guys, that just gets me excited. And it was just Sunday. And I'm going to plug another band here real quick because it was Friday night show. It was Exodus and Death Angel and Blind Illusion. And oh my God, it was like a weekend of candy. And I was just like, I felt like a fat kid. It's like math filling my face with all this music. And then he took a day off on Saturday and then back to the Bay on Sunday, and Obituary. Yeah.
Mark Azagata from Death Angel. What a unique voice. Does he?
Oh my God, yes. Oh my God. Live, it's no doubt that it's just no wonder that Kerry King picked him up, because he is just a beast. And seeing him and that band performing, he is just such a front man, and his vocals over all of these years. I mean, I remember being a teenage kid listening to the Ultra Violence and saying, what on God's green earth is that? And Mark's voice just cuts through like a machete, like razor blade sharp machete.
Yeah, he's an amazing vocalist. We're going to move over to Jeff here. Jeff.
All right, I'm going to run off the stage on this one. But, So recently, and this was to make the wife happy. We went for my wife's birthday. We went to a local venue we got here called the Rust Belt. We get been getting a lot of real big name bands coming through, but this was a cover night. So we went down and watched ABBA tribute, and then a local cover band doing new wave '80s hits as the opening band. But it was a lot of fun.
What were their names? Come on, you gotta get these guys.
The new wave band that's local. They're called the Class of 1984, and they're doing
all right.
the Cars and a lot of the different songs you would have heard on the radio in 1984.
What's the name of the ABBA tribute?
The ABBA tribute. Yeah,
I'm trying to remember the name of the band. I just knew it was ABBA tribute.
That's awesome. You know what? That's the stuff I grew up on, though. I love all that stuff, the Cars and all that stuff. Heck yeah. Now, I'm not trying to get off track here or get off the conversation, but who just went and saw The Fix?
Me.
Yeah.
I did. Friday night.
Did I foul it for your question?
Oh, you did, but it was one of those kind of things. A good friend of mine, it was a bucket list for both of us. We saw they were coming to Chicago, and we just said, hey, I took a half day off work, and we trekked up there. We drove 80 mile an hour all the way up there, never got passed by one car. Got there,
hell yeah.
And it was just I don't know if this is what they do every night, but I don't know if they caught lightning in a bottle that night. But Cy Kernan, that guy's voice, it illuminates, and he doesn't age. He still looks like he's 40 years old on stage.
Right. It's funny because I think I remember hearing some of you going, and I just got to tell you, Reach the Beach. Man, that album was such a part of my childhood. I think I burned that tape out, the cassette. In fact, I know I did because it melted in my little Walkman, because I played it so many times. But yeah, his voice is eerie good.
Yeah.
And it's so cool to hear that he's just slaying it over all these years still. And
and the crazy thing about it was, they knocked out everything. I mean, they played everything. The last song on their set before the encore, they played Red Skies. And then the last song of the encore was Saved by Zeros, and I mean that place erupted. I mean it was just how a band at that age in their late 60s, early 70s can be that tight. I mean they were tight.
Great.
Oh yeah, that gives me a lot of hope because I'm getting up there too, and but to know that they're still crushing it like that, and these songs, man. I mean, come on, dude. I personally believe, without going too fanboy on this, I just don't feel like people write music like that anymore, man. I'm not saying the genre, but with that level of intensity and feeling like that 70s, 80s, that little pocket right there where music was just crafted so well and analog, Well, fantastic. I'm glad you had a good time out there, man. I mean, again, I'm like, you're seeing it.
Yeah. It was the last show of their North American tour. Then they were going back over to the UK and playing a handful of shows over there. So we got lucky. We got to see them.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So we're at the end of our questions here. Is there anything that we left off that you would like to plug or promote?
No, man. I just got to say this because it's leave it to me to be the guy that goes against the grain. But I just feel like, man, we're in a really weird time in our life right now. I'm not a political guy, but I will just say that I hope that everybody gives each other a chance to kind of look beyond where we are right now in today's world and try to give each other a chance and a break. Maybe if somebody's giving you a look and they think that you think they're giving you a dirty look, maybe they're just having a bad day. So return it with a smile. Don't return it with aggression.
Yeah.
I think that we're in this heavy time right now. So if there's one thing I would like to leave with is that, give each other a chance, give each other a break, listen more than you talk, and try to leave people feeling better than when you found them.
Absolutely. Well, this is how things are going to work out. Jeff here is going to go through everything and edit everything and make us sound like $1 million. And this should be ready to go by about within the week.
Yeah.
So we'll send it to you immediately. And if you could you just share it wherever you possibly can.
Oh, without a doubt. And I just want to say thank you guys so much for considering me for this. I listened to a few of your other podcasts, and I just, honestly, I was a little humbled by the idea that you guys would consider me to be a guest. And I just want to say thank you.
Well, absolutely. Yeah. And, we've been down, we've kind of been kind of quiet since October. We had a million things going on. And when I came across your profile, I thought, man, this guy would be perfect for our podcast.
Well, I'm grateful for that. So I'm grateful for that, and I'm glad that you guys are back to it because what you're doing is awesome.
Well, thank you so much.
We appreciate it.
Bobby, it was an honor to have you on the podcast tonight.
Thank you. It was great to get to know you.
If you want to come back on, you are welcome anytime.
I would be grateful. Thank you so much for the invitation.
Absolutely.
And Jeff, hang in there, feel better, brother. And right. I look forward to hearing you guys. I look forward to hearing you guys in the future.
Hey, man, thank you so much.
All right. You guys have a great afternoon, man.
Take care, man.
All right, take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.